I think in this space, mostly it's going to be lots about automation of particular use cases because recruiters want one type of automation, salespeople another one. And every tool would need at some point to focus on one, two, three, five use cases, whatever they want, and like really narrow it down and make it as smooth as possible, this experience. So, that's where I think kind of the market is going.
AI note takers are everywhere, but how do you know which one is right for your team? In this series, I'm going to be talking to the CEOs and co-founders of some of the top AI note-taking tools out there to learn about some of the more advanced features they offer. We're going to dive into things like their HubSpot integration, how easy they make it to customize the notes for different teams and use cases, how they handle data security and privacy, and other key features that really make them stand out. And why does that matter to Arrows? If you're syncing your meeting notes into HubSpot, Arrows can read that data and automatically suggest the right updates to your sales rooms. So you can update things like next steps, milestones, value props, and Arrows will even suggest new content that should be added to your sales room based on what you discussed in your meeting. All right, let's get into it. Hey, Russ, it's great to meet you. Thanks so much for joining to tell us more about Bluedot today. This is going to be a fun one for me because Bluedot was not a part of my initial test of 22 AI note takers. I think I mentioned to you, but I came across it a ton on YouTube when I was kind of doing some research for this. So I'm going in blind here. I haven't seen the tool. I'm really excited to chat with you and learn more about what differentiates you and how the product actually works.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, it was cool to see your post. Then I followed up, and now we're here on the call.
Yeah.
Unexpected. Yeah, I can do a brief introduction. My full name is Ruslan. You can call me Russ. I'm one of the co-founders of Bluedot. I'm working on it for the last 3 years. We used to have another business before, which was a recruitment agency. So we were hiring engineers for companies across Europe. And while running that agency, the idea of Bluedot came to our mind because we always had a problem with documenting information during the client calls or during the interviews with candidates. OpenAI kind of came up back then, gave access, and we started testing. We saw opportunity to actually summarize meetings. And that's how we started. We launched 1.5 years ago. And since then, we have crazy growth, supported more than 1,500 customers all over the globe, 60% of our revenue coming from the US, Europe, and other countries. And we're a team of 6, fully remote. We're not fully bootstrapped, so we raised a bit of money, but compared to some of our competitors, that's like really low. And mostly we're relying on our own kind of revenues that we generate. And yeah, we've been profitable for the last 3 months, growing well, and serving our customers.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Congrats on being profitable. That's great. Okay, cool. So we talked about some of the things that we'd like to cover here. And I know you have a demo prep. So if you want to jump into that and share your screen and we can start to learn about Bluedot.
Yeah, amazing. I will start sharing the screen. I'll start first with example how the recording works, because that's something that's basically sets us apart from other competitors. Unlike 99% of the products on the market, we don't use meeting bots to record your meetings. Everything works through a Chrome extension. So you need to install your extension. Once you have it, you can start the recording either clicking Command Shift S, or you click on the extension. Then you can select if you want, like, basically which language. By default it's English. If you want to record video and audio, or audio only, or transcript only, then you select if you want to notify the participants that you're recording or not. In Europe it's mandatory. In the US some states allow you to record without consent. Then you select it one time and then start capture, and that's it. So there are no bots joining your calls. Recording starts immediately. You don't need to wait for it to join. There's notification that meeting is being recorded, and you can continue the discussion. Once your meeting is over, you can pause the recording at any moment. You can finish, or when your meeting is over, you just leave the call, and Bluedot immediately opens the link to the recording. That's another difference with other tools. You don't need to wait for the bot to leave the meeting, to analyze everything. You just you get it. You can rewatch it. You wait for a bit to get the transcript and then the summary. Since there is not much to summarize, I'll just show the real life example. When the meeting is over, that's what you get. You get the recording of the video. If you selected the video recording, then the transcript here on the right side, it recognizes the speakers. You can search across the recording for any word or phrase. It would highlight these moments. Here on the left side, you have AI summary of the meeting. So you can see here this template is a general notes template. We have different type of templates for different use cases. For recruitment, like screening interview or sales notes, customer check-in. And this is the one that most of our customers are using, general notes. It has an overview, then the action items from the meeting, who agreed on what, and the topics. So each topic is basically highlighted, and then there is some description here. So this is the general notes. I will show more notes later, but for now, here you have the insights. Some sales teams really like it because for managers, it shows what's the talk ratio of each sales rep and what's the interaction stat, like how much people talk, how many questions asked, and AI chat. AI chat allows you to basically chat with your meeting. You can ask any question and it would find this information in the meeting. Plus, we're going to ship in a few weeks the feature that would allow you to chat with up to 10 meetings. And next iteration would be ability to chat with more than 10, basically with hundreds of meetings. And with regards to the notes, so at some point we started building different notes for different use cases because customers were asking us. Then we realized that it's hard to really build templates for every use case. That's why we allow you to build your own custom template. The way it works is that you click custom template, and here you just write the prompt exactly the same way you would write it in ChatGPT. Like, what do you need from this meeting? Then you can use two models that we provide, GPT-4 or Claude, and based on that, it would generate the answer. To give you an example, if I go right now to my notes templates, this is like a real life, let's say, example of the template that one of our customers is using. They are a recruitment agency, staffing agency, and this is like a huge kind of template that they use. So it gives the context, then gives requirements, summary. So they need an email summary that they later send to the client. Then they basically write here the email template that they use and ask the Bluedot basically to fill the gaps with the content from the meeting. And so when the meeting is over, they immediately get the summary and the email already written that they can easily copy and paste whatever tool they use. Basically, any type of template you want. One of the templates as well is like MEDDIC. Yeah, basically, this was written by me. I asked it to write a short summary of the meeting, action items, and then analyze the call by MEDDIC or MEDDIC methodology, whatever methodology you want. And when the meeting was over, it basically generated the summary, which looks like that. So summary of the meeting, like I asked there in the custom template, then action items, and then basically AI analyzes the call based on MEDDIC analysis and then says like, okay, but this, and that, and then gives you the rating, 8 out of 10, and then says what can be improvements. So here it's very customizable. You can write there whatever you need depending on your use case. This is with regards to the custom templates, and then generate AI email. This is the feature that I like the most because I use it every day when I do the demo call. After the meeting is over, I need to write a follow-up message. This usually would take me lots of time, but now with Bluedot, I just click this one button and then it would go and generate the email follow-up, which is personalized with next steps, what we discussed. So I don't need to basically spend time on that. But like, hey, thanks again. Glad you mentioned this, like competitor, whatever. And here's the price if we discuss pricing. So it's really like time saving feature. So that's with regards to the interface of the recording. And then there is a second part, which is basically sharing and organizing the recordings. This is where I think Bluedot kind of stands out compared to other products. Here on the left side, you can see how we organize recordings internally. So here you see collections. You can create a collection, call it like onboarding maybe. Then you select who has access to this collection. It can be everyone at your company or like no one, then it's only for you. Or you can select certain people who would get access. Then once you share this access with certain people, if they have it, they would see it here on the left side. So if the collection is private, so only certain people have access, you would see this lock. If it's public, you would see this book, which says that everyone in the company can access this collection. And then basically, if you go inside the collection, you can create sub collections and share the recordings, because you can share the recording either by sharing the link. You can share the recording by either adding here the email of particular people that you want to share it with, or you can share the recordings by moving them to collections. Or in Bluedot, you can even set up automation. If we go here after sorting, you can create rules. If there are certain keywords in the titles of the meetings would be sorted to particular collections. So one time you set up such rules, like I have, if there's a word demo, it goes to discovery call collection. And then everyone who has access to discovery call collection would immediately get notification that there is a meeting and they can go and rewatch if they need. Or it can be posted to Slack channel, whatever you prefer. So this is how recordings are organized in Bluedot. And maybe last but not least, Bluedot allows you to record your screen the same way you do with Loom. So with Bluedot, you pay for one subscription, but get two products. You can record your Google Meet, Teams, Zoom, or you can record your screen and basically, explain stuff. Like I use everyday Bluedot for recording my screen to explain something the same way you would do with Loom, but it's stored here, so I don't need to pay for another product. Yeah, that's I think main things here on the right top side here. You can see the search bar. It allows you to search for any word or phrase that was said in any of the recordings. Bluedot would highlight these moments. You can search across collections. You can search across all the recordings. Plus, we're adding the feature that would allow you to search across, for example, emails. If there's an email in the invite of the meeting, you can search for it and quickly get the recording. And integrations, I think it's important as well. If we go here to automation and then integrations, so Bluedot has integration with Notion, with Slack. We have webhooks, so APIs, webhooks. We have integration with Zapier, and we have integration with HubSpot. The way it works with HubSpot is that you basically need to connect HubSpot to Bluedot. Once you do that, you need to connect your Google Calendar. So then when your meeting is over, we match the invites from your Google Calendar in the meeting invite with the person is in HubSpot. And then after populate, there's like a meeting section, note section with the meeting summary from Bluedot. So it basically would update your lead. It would have the length of the meeting, the summary of the meeting, and meeting participants. That's information that you would get there.
Cool. With the HubSpot integration, when you said the summary syncs over, is it the same summary that you showed us when you were looking at the calls in Bluedot? It's that same summary. So if you have it customized to a template.
I mean, it is the same summary. If you want something specific, you can create your own custom template. Okay. And then each time the meeting is over, this custom template would go to HubSpot.
Okay, cool. But it's the full details of the call as you specify that you want.
Yes. So whatever summary you would see when the meeting is over that you select would go to HubSpot, only one.
Yeah. Okay. That's perfect. Okay. So one thing that I wanted to highlight that I think feels unique to me is the ability to pause the recordings. So especially because I think there are a couple other tools that like sit on the side and aren't actually like recording the video screens, things like that from the meeting that I think you can pause. But it seems pretty unique that you can, with the Chrome extension, just pause the recording in a certain part. I know that's one thing that came up in the comments of some of my original posts about this stuff was like having a meeting recorder detract people from wanting to share information on calls. Like if you're on a call with a client, they maybe don't want to say something because they know it's recorded. I think mostly people are getting used to it. And I think like I work in B2B SaaS, most people have them, most people are comfortable with it. But I think the ability to pause, if someone is like, hey, I'm going to share something, but I really don't want this to be recorded, you can pause it for just that moment and then restart the recording again. I think that seems pretty unique from my perspective.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Cool. And so you touched on this a bit, but as far as the data and privacy, I think one thing that feels like a big piece of that is the automations that you mentioned, where you can say for this type of meeting, this is going to be public or this is going to a public folder. But I think the thing that comes up too is like if you're having a one-on-one with someone, that should just be between you and that person, and the whole team doesn't need to see everything that was discussed there necessarily. So I think is there anything else that you would mention in terms of how you think about data privacy?
I mean, overall, from perspective of the product and like security and privacy, we encrypt all the data. It's all stored in Frankfurt in Germany. So we have lots of clients in Europe. So that's important, like to be GDPR compliant. So in terms of that, there's lots of other stuff I can discuss, but this is part in terms of how we store information. In terms of how you share information as a company, as an individual, by default, when you record something in Bluedot, it's private, meaning only accessible to you. If you want to share something, you either have to basically on purpose go and click share button and then share something via the link. However, we don't recommend sharing internal recordings or like client recordings via the public link, because if someone else will get the access to this link, they can rewatch it. That's why the best way to share something, either by inviting them via email, so they will get access and they would need to register and see. And with Bluedot, unlike with some other tools on the market, like you don't have to pay to rewatch the recordings. You can add people to the workspace and they would be able to rewatch recordings for free and read the summaries. So you don't need to really worry about that. But that's more secure. And then, of course, if you create collections, like we have clients who have hundreds of collections, they have like thousands of people, they really organize them neatly. You decide who has access, who doesn't have access. You can create a one-on-one collection with this person, only they would have access, and that's it. It's between you and this person.
Does Bluedot only work with Google Meet, or do you work with Zoom and other recording tools as well?
Yeah, good question. So we have this kind of, let's say, perfect experience with Google Meet because initially it was designed for Google Meet. It works right now amazing with Teams and browser. And then it can record your Zoom and Teams on desktop. However, you would need to use our screen recording feature and think about like you would record your screen with Loom. And there are a few things that don't work properly because first, it doesn't recognize the name of the speakers. Second, if you're in headphones, it's not going to get system audio. That's the problem with all the Chrome extension that record your screen. However, in this case, you can use our bot. So if I'm saying like we had the first bot free recording solution, there is still a bot because we had some customers who wanted it. So you can invite meeting bot to your Zoom or Teams calls, and then it would record them perfectly without any problems. But this bot free experience, unfortunately, on Mac with headphones is not perfect. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And it sounds like probably most of your customers are using Google Meet, which is great. Yeah, I ran my initial test just using Zoom. That's what we use. Like our tech stack here, and for a lot of our customers, is like Zoom, HubSpot,
Yeah.
Slack. And so that's kind of the way I was thinking about things. But there were a lot of people that were like, how do all of these tools work with Google Meet? So that's great to hear. Are there any cool use cases, anything that you've seen people using Bluedot for that has been interesting or kind of stood out to you?
I mean, there are some obvious ones like recruitment. So lots of recruiters are using us to automate meeting notes, like agencies, so in-house recruiters. Then, of course, like sales. I was surprised that we've been used by like some repair shops, car repair shops somewhere in the middle of the US, and somehow this person like a one founder who's running the whole business and they need Bluedot. I didn't expect that because like we have customers all over the world. Sometimes I talk with teachers from some Brazilian school in some rural area and they need Bluedot to record meetings so then their students can read it. And one of the features they're asking if it's possible to translate. So this is an interesting use case. Before I couldn't understand, but more and more we get people who have teams across the world and they have meetings, for example, in German, but they want their colleagues in other countries to watch them. So they would like translate stuff. We don't have it yet, but we'll have. But that's another use case is like for case studies. So people would record their client calls, ask for feedback, and then based on that, an AI chat would ask to create case study, and Bluedot would generate the answer, and they would use it for their content. For content creation, the same thing. Customer calls later being analyzed with our AI chat to generate the LinkedIn posts. And then mostly these people are asking us to add the ability to chat with multiple meetings so they can get insights from 5, 6 meetings and get like LinkedIn post ideas. But that's like unusual. But the usual one is just internal meetings, client meetings, interviews. This is super common.
Cool. Awesome. This was really helpful. I guess anything for the last few minutes here, anything that you are really excited about in the space or that's coming soon to Bluedot that you want to kind of highlight or talk about?
Yeah, I think for us, the goal is like supporting more platforms. So you can record something with your phone, you can record from your computer. And this is definitely what we are right now focusing on, and more integrations as well. So not just HubSpot, but like Salesforce or whatever like CRM you use, but that requires lots of engineering time. So that's what we are focusing on. And I think in this space, mostly it's going to be lots about automation of particular use cases. Because recruiters want one type of automation, salespeople another one, and every tool would need at some point to focus on 1, 2, 3, 5 use cases, whatever they want, and like really narrow it down and make it as smooth as possible. This experience. So, that's where I think kind of the market is going. That's why, for example, like I'm not afraid. I remember people were saying like, "Hey, Google just launched, notes. Now they allow to generate notes." I mean, it was never a problem for us because it's a very general, like whatever Google ships, very general, and it would never really go into specific use cases and like custom nodes. Like with Bluedot, you can generate custom nodes, and we just have customers who love it, and we will have more and more iterations of custom nodes. So they're so specifically designed for you that like you would never find it in Google. So whatever other general tool.
Awesome. Well, this was great. Thanks for walking me through Bluedot. It definitely looks like a cool tool. It sounds like it's best for people who are using Google Meet right now, at least. But I think that's great. And I think having like that specialty of like, this is who we are for. And you can use it with Zoom, but it's maybe not the best experience yet, I think is awesome. So thanks so much for walking me through that. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.